Hey, ugh, hey, it's January 26th. I think it's Friday. Pretty sure it's Friday. Sorry, I just woke up and had a cup of coffee. On a personal note, I know that I should be focused on way more important things in my personal life than doing some kind of movie list or review, but I have all these distractions that I go through the day with, and I like doing this stuff, even though I really do need to work on my personal stuff. Um, but I want to make this list. Okay, so this is going to be a top five list. Top five. I'm not doing a top 10. Top five list of the movies that I can recall, like, really quick, that were the most shocking upon first view. Um, Shocking meaning like that. Like I was disturbing. Like, really? Like, whoa. That's what I mean by shocking. So there's five that came to mind, actually six, but on the number five one is sort of a tie. So there's actually six on my list, but I'm doing a top five list. The fifth spot is a tie between two films. So this shocking list is inspired by another YouTuber who does movie reviews, and he's really better at it than me, I guess, because he can show you clips of the movie, and I don't have that kind of skill, or maybe I don't even know if you need a certain level of approval to even do such a thing. So all I can do is tell you what I know as far as the name of the film and who was in it, or if I know who was in it or who directed it, and the genre that I mean, most of these could be considered multiple genres, but the genre that I classify it as. Okay, so and the five that are on my list are of five different genres. Okay, so here is my top five list of the most shocking movies I saw. Well, they were the most shocking upon first view. And then if I watched them anything after that, of course, they were less shocking and sort of became like just common knowledge in my movie perception, film perception. Okay, but here we go. Top five list of movies that shocked me. Okay, we're gonna start with the one that's tied in the number five spot. Well, number one being the most shocking, and the number five spot is a tie in the horror genre, and it is a tie between The Exorcist, which was a movie that was produced and came out in the 70s, and I saw it when I was 12 years old, and it was shocking to me. Uh, I know Linda Blair played the girl Regia or Regia, or I forgot her name. Anyway, Regina, I don't know. I can't remember her name. The little girl who got possessed by the devil, and her mother. I don't know who the actress who played her mother, but they were fantastic. And the whole movie. Well, I was 12 years old when I saw it, so it definitely made an impact. And the first time I saw it, I was terrified and shocked at the same time, and did have nightmares about it. And yet, it still is in my subconscious as like, holy cow, wow. I mean, I don't think I watched it a few times, through the years after that to see if the shock it was still shocking. And of course, it was never as shocking as the first time I watched it. But um, it's definitely in my subconscious, and it definitely made an impression. And even though it was less shocking to watch, after the first time, it definitely made such an impact upon first view that it had to go on the number five spot. But it's also tied with another movie that had some similar things going on, but because of the director's artistic approach, it gave me initially that first shock again, and that was The Evil Dead. So in the number five spot, is horror genre, and the two movies that are tied for shock value in the number five spot is The Exorcist, which came out in the 70s, and The Evil Dead, which was a B movie that came out in the 80s and then was so successful that it had follow up movies with a better budget. But The Evil Dead also shows uh, not a child being possessed, but women getting possessed by the devil, of course, or evil spirits. And it also had that same like effect on me upon first view. I mean, it's like the first time you see a really scary movie. If you watch it over and over again, the fear factor and the shock and whatever goes, starts to fade down. But upon first view, Evil Dead did the same thing as The Exorcist to me. I was just like, OMG, like I need to like sleep with my teddy bear tonight. So number five spot is the horror genre, and the two in the number five spot tied together as equally shocking to me was The Exorcist and The Evil Dead. In the number four spot is a movie. I wanted to see how Google categorized it by genre, and there were multiple categories that Google says it could fit into, and I can't argue. But in my opinion, I would classify this movie as noir, Noir, that word, that genre, which you don't see that classification come up often because that genre is not always the best moneymaker. But I particularly think that this film fits into that category the most. And it starred Cameron Diaz, and it was called The Counselor. So in the number four spot, I want to say The Counselor. Now, the sad part is I did not watch the movie in completion. I only watched pieces of the movie. So I could be completely off base here on my opinions because I didn't watch the full movie, and it wasn't a movie that I put in my collection to watch over and over again. But why I put it in the number four spot as shock value is because of Cameron Diaz's brave and incredibly funny and insane and amazing performance on the Ferrari. If you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. Uh, Cameron Diaz in the Ferrari shocked me into there's a piece of my mind that's never going to forget Cameron Diaz in the Ferrari. So I had never seen anything like that, and it just opened my mind and sexual fantasies, I guess, if I think she did a scene in there that was probably every teenage boy's fantasy. And I had never imagined anyone doing what she did in that movie. And I mean, I kind of blush thinking about thinking about it. And yet it's so brave and so like so different that I smile too because I just like want to applaud her for the courage to do that. I mean, that was a wow. Like I was like again like jaw drop. When your jaw drops, you know that that's a shock value moment. And so yeah, when I saw Cameron Diaz in the Ferrari, I'm I'm giggling like a schoolgirl and I'm blushing, but it's so amazing. It's such an amazing scene. My jaw definitely dropped. I was like, OMG. Wow. It was pretty amazing. So that was number four spot, The Counselor and I'm putting that in the noir genre. Okay, and the number three spot is a musical genre, the musical Chicago. I know some people will be like, "That's not the most shocking musical." Maybe it isn't to other people. Maybe it isn't to other people. I don't know who directed the movie version. I'm sure there were multiple directors on the Broadway stage version, but I saw the movie at a very difficult time in my life where there were a lot of changes going on, changes for people in my family, changes for me personally. And for some reason, we decided to go see this movie, Chicago, the musical, with Catherine Zeta Jones and Queen Latifah. And okay, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people who are going to say, what's shocking about that? It was shocking to me. It was shocking to me. Maybe it was because of what I was going through at the time. But I was shocked. I mean, I was with two other women and we sat together in the theater watching the movie for the first time, and they were loving it. I mean, they were eating it up like it was, brownie sundae. They loved every minute of it. But my jaw was like, I didn't know how to feel. Like I didn't I loved music and I loved dancing. So that's where I was trying to like sort of find some kind of comfort zone because I'm like, okay, there's music and dancing. But the whole story and all the monologues and everything, I mean, I was like this, like I didn't know how to feel. It was the weirdest contradictory feeling. Like, okay, I do like the music and the dancing, but these stories are sort of terrifying. So, I watched it then. I watched it several times. I mean, I had it in my collection so I could watch it because I love the musicals. I love the singing and the dancing. So, I wanted to see if this movie was always going to be shocking or if I was going to start feeling like my companions at the movie theater who just enjoyed it from, start to finish. And and then I started to enjoy it. Yeah, it's a sort of this weird thing that happens, I guess. It's a sort of a certain maturity level that takes away the shockingness of that movie, and makes you understand why why the women seem so callous about these horrific stories that they tell. And it's a certain survival and maturity level that that you get to understand when life has beat the crap out of you. And it's just so weird because it's done with this beautiful musical and this beautiful like dancing and music, and but it's really telling some really horrific stories. So that's in the number 3 spot, Chicago. And then in the number 2 spot, one of my favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, which did bring Quentin Tarantino to fame. I totally like. Some people will be like, "Where were you when Kennedy was shot?" I wasn't born yet, but I mean, it's just a joke that people make, like, "Where were you when such and such happened?" To sort of see, where you were in your life. Well, this is how I feel about Pulp Fiction. I can remember it like it was yesterday. When I went to the theater to see Pulp Fiction. It was the very first Quentin Tarantino film I had ever seen. And I went with my friend David, and I'm glad I went with David actually, because me and David had the exact same reaction to the film because we were both total dorks, and we had never seen anything like that. And not on the screen, So we both sat there like this the whole movie, and neither one of us said a word until until after the movie. And I think about 20 minutes after driving away from the movie theater, I think he finally turned to me and said, "So, what did you think of the movie?" And I was like, uh, oh, I was trying to find the word. I found it disturbing. I said, I found it kind of disturbing. And he was like, oh, he was like, "Phew, yeah, me too." I was like, yeah, okay, so okay, we're both disturbed right now, right? We're both feeling disturbed. And he was like, yeah, it was disturbing. I put that in the drama uh, category. I mean, I had acquired it and had it in my collection also for a long time, and I watched the shit out of it. I mean, I wanted to play it out like a broken record. Like I wanted to watch it until I was numb to it, until there was nothing shocking about it. Because I mean, it was so shocking upon first view that I was speechless. That's how I felt about Pulp Fiction when I first saw it. Now I am kind of numb to it, and now it's like after watching Freddy Krueger 20 times, you start laughing about it. Now I can laugh about Pulp Fiction, but the first view, I was like that. Okay, so that was number 2 spot in the drama category. Okay, and in the number 1 spot, this is going to be really weird. I don't even know what genre this is, and Google, of course, doesn't help because it had like 20 different genres that this could be in. So I don't even know what genre to classify this one in. And it's the most shocking thing that I tried to watch. I tried to watch it. It was so shocking I couldn't watch it. And it's weird. It's really weird. Uh, Mel Gibson directed it, and it was called The Passion of the Christ. And it came in Arabic. I think the language was Arabic with subtitles. The Passion of the Christ was Mel Gibson's depiction of the story of Jesus, right? Well, I mean, I'd seen plenty of movies about, from the Bible, the Ten Commandments. I had seen The Last Temptation of Christ. I had seen the basic stories of Noah and Jesus, and I was musicals. I loved Jesus Christ Superstar. I loved that musical. But this is not Jesus Christ Superstar. This is not a bunch of hippies, just talking about politics. No. The Passion of the Christ, I mean, he took it to such a literal extreme, and it was worse than, The Exorcist to me. I mean, I couldn't watch the whole movie. I walked out of the theater, and I used an excuse to get myself out of the theater. I said, I don't want to read subtitles. That was the excuse I used, and I never watched the whole movie because I couldn't deal with it. As soon as some of the pain and torture began, I was out of there. It was like, it's not even like a jaw dropping thing. It was just like, I'm not going to deal with this. I can't deal with this, and I just walked out. So because I walked out, and because I never watched the whole movie, and I had no desire to watch the whole movie because I'm not I'm not a sadist, and I just don't want to watch torture. And so I put that on the number one spot as far as shocking, because I don't know, I guess there's people who get off on torturing others, and there's people who get off on cruelty like that. But I couldn't stomach it, and I couldn't deal with it. So I just never watched the whole movie, and I probably never will. And that's why it's in the number one spot.